Hello, seniors. Welcome to your MLA Guidelines lecture. This lecture is designed to introduce the citation style of the MLA, which is a collegiate citation style, and walk you through how it's done, and then also how to set up your works cited page, which is the second component of the MLA citation style. So, let's get started. What is MLA? First off, MLA stands for the Modern Language Association, and it's one of the most commonly used citation styles. It's very simple and concise. It uses in-text parenthetical citations that are then connected to a separate alphabetized list called a works cited page. When it says most commonly used, it's most commonly used in the humanities, which are going to be your liberal arts and sciences. So your reading, your history, your philosophy, those types of classes. If you're taking science classes, those are going to use a different type of citation style. Similar but different, but MLA is a very important citation style to learn. You will take English classes in college. Your professors will require you to use MLA style, so that's why we're focusing on MLA. Why? I kind of already talked about that. According to Purdue University's Online Writing Lab, also known as OWL, writers who properly use MLA also build their credibility by demonstrating accountability to their source material. Most importantly, the use of MLA style can protect a writer from accusations of plagiarism, which is a purposeful or accidental uncredited use of source material by other writers. Key word there is accidental. Plagiarism does not have to be on purpose. You can forget to cite something and still be guilty of plagiarism. As you are learning with this research paper, it is less about what you know and more about what you've learned in researching a topic that is important. Citations are a way of showing the world where that information came from. It's a way of documenting where you learned those things and giving credit to the people who came before you, because there's nothing wrong with giving those people credit. It doesn't make your work less valuable. It just shows all the hard work you put in finding out all the information that you needed. General MLA guidelines. These are pretty basic. You'll get a one-pager of these. I think you have it in your senior packet already, actually. But these are the basic setup for a paper that's done in the MLA format. Needs to be typed, obviously. Standard paper on white paper, none of that pink or yellow paper that your family has lying around the house. Paper can be, or should be double-spaced, double space your paper and use a legible font. Times New Roman is the one that is most preferred. 12-point font, that's a basic size. This one's a little bit unique, and it's not something we've talked about. It is considered correct to only use a single space after a period. If you're leaving two spaces after a period, is it going to be the end of the world? No. But correct MLA guidelines say one space after a period. Set your margins to 1 inch on all sides. That will require you to go in and format a particular piece of the format the way the page is set up, but they do need to be set to 1 inch. Use the tab key when you need to space over. The tab key is what you use when you need to indent a line of text. Create a header that numbers all pages in the upper right-hand corner of the paper. Left-hand corner of the first page, very important, your name, your instructor's name, the course, and the date. Double space, and then center the title as well. Next slide is going to be a sample of the MLA first page. So here we have our MLA first page. We can see a couple of things here. We'll notice that we have our header up here that has the name and page number. The name is the person's last name. You'll notice Caitlin and Caitlin or Catlin. Not necessary, but again makes it just a little bit nice when a professor has 1,000 papers they're grading. They need to be able to remember whose paper it is they're grading. This is Beth Catlin's paper for Professor Elaine Bassett, English 106, 3rd of August, 2009. This is the left hand. You'll notice here's our title. It is centered. And then just another space down, and we have a tab in for our first line. All the way down, next paragraph, tab in. All the way down, next paragraph, tab in. 1-inch margins on every side, so you'll notice the distance from the top down to Beth, and from the side in, and from the side in, all of those are going to be the same distance. Now, moving on to the actual in-text citations. So in your research, you found a book you want to use. This is a book with a single author, so just one person has written this book. MLA format follows the author page number method of in-text citations. This means the author's last name and page number from which the quotation is taken must appear in the text. Only the author's last name and the page numbers. And a complete reference is later found on the works cited page. The author's name may appear in either the sentence or the parentheses, following the quotation, but the page number should always appear in the parentheses, not in the text of your sentence. Here we have some examples. Wordsworth stated that romantic poetry was marked by a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. We can see our quotation marks and then our page number right there. Example number 2, romantic poetry is characterized by the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. Again, same quote. This time, all the information is within the parentheses. And then Wordsworth extensively explored the role of emotion in the creative process. This is what's called a paraphrase. And it, again, with the page citation. The paraphrase is talking about what Wordsworth said, but not using his own words. So instead of powerful feeling, they use the word emotion. And instead of romantic poetry, they used the creative process. And so we are getting the same idea that Wordsworth was talking about, but in a different way. However, since this idea was not original, they are still crediting Wordsworth with having done the original thinking. In-text citations for books with 1 to 3 authors. A lot of times an academic text will have multiple authors, multiple people involved. For sources with 3 or fewer, list the author's last name in the text or in the parenthetical citation. Really simple. The same way you would do with one author, except you list them just in the order. Smith, Yang, and Moore. You'll see here again, Smith, Yang, and Moore. And then here we have our 76. This here again, this sentence, this top example is a paraphrase. There are no quotes. Second one, we have our quotes. And then Smith, Yang, and Moore, 76, all in the parentheses. You'll notice there is never a comma. There is no comma. It is the last name and then the pages. Please do not put a comma. Don't put page. Don't put number. Don't write out the word page. Right? Don't do any of that. That is a no. Very rarely, you'll need to cite a book that has 4 authors. This happens as you get higher up in college and are reading texts that are more the collaboration of several people working on the same idea. MLA style makes it nice and easy for you, though. If you have a book with more than 3 authors, you get to use this neat little thing right here, et al. Et al is Latin, and it stands for and others. And that's your way of telling people that there are other people associated with the work, but you're not going to bother listing them all out because there's too many of them. So we have Jones et al., and then counter Smith, Yang, and Moore. That's just talking about the people from the other quote we looked at on the last slide. And we have our page number again. Legal experts counter. Again, we have those 3 from the previous one. They're still listed all the way out because there's only 3 of them. But down here we have Jones et al. And then all the way at the bottom you can see that there were 4 people associated with that text: Jones, Driscoll, Ackerson, and Bell. And all of their names are wrapped up into that et al. Right like that. Now, in addition to print works, a lot of your works are being found on the internet, which is a totally appropriate way to do research in this day and age. However, you need to be careful that you're using well-established websites, that you're only using Wikipedia to start your research, and that you're using what Wikipedia references as the actual documents. You should not cite Wikipedia as where you found the information. When you're citing works from the internet, what you want to include in the text is the first item that appears in the works cited entry that corresponds to the citation. So it's going to be one of those four things: the author's name, the article name, the website name, or the film name. That's what you want to put in your parenthetical citation. You do not need to give paragraph numbers or page numbers because that's just based off the arbitrary printer setting, which is not important. And generally, you do not need to provide the URL. The URL is that big long thing that appears at the top that is like http://www. and then so on and so forth. You don't need to provide any of that. You can simply say CNN.com or Forbes.com as opposed to writing out all of that stuff right there. Don't need to worry about it. So when you use an electronic source, the Purdue OWL is accessed by millions of users every year. Its MLA Formatting Style Guide is one of the most popular resources, Stoli et al. Again, we have our Latin for and others. This is our signal word right here, the Purdue OWL. That is the website name. And it appears right there. And then down at our works cited page, we have our author again. This time we have his first name as well. We have the title of the page right here. We have the site right there. This is who published it right there. The works cited page, we've talked about it a little bit already. It's the alphabetical list of all the works you've referenced in your paper. Format your works cited page using the following rules. It's pretty basic. You want to begin your works cited page on a separate page, not on the last page, but start an entirely new document. 1-inch margins, last name, page number, heading, all that same stuff. Label the works cited page. Do not italicize it or put it in quotation marks. Just call it works cited page. And then a couple other things that I can't tell if they're on this page. They may have gotten cut off. Things that you'll want to make sure of is, again, like use all of the same formatting. So you want to use the double space. There you go. Use double space and the tab function to indent. And then the last thing that you should know is if you're talking about a number of pages, if you're talking about pages 200 to 205, you want to use a little dash right there to signify you're using all those pages. If you're just talking about certain pages, you would say 200, 201, 202, we'll say. And you're finding one specific thing on each page, something like that. So works cited page for books. This is the basic format. We have our last name, comma, first name, period. Title of books in italics. This is super important. It's a little step, but it's very important. Title of books, period. City of publication, colon, publisher, comma, year of publication, period, medium of publication, period. Medium of publication, again, as you'll see down here. So here we have last name, first name, right there. Title of books, right there. City of publication, right there. Publisher, year, and medium. Just like that. And then if you have more than one author, you just list them alphabetically. Gillespie, Paula, and Lerner, just in that order. Actually, as I look at that, that is not a correct example because learner does not come before Paula. List the last names alphabetically. I'm not sure why I chose a wrong example there. I apologize, but please do list those last names alphabetically for us. Works cited page for an electronic source. This is where it gets a little bit tricky because the websites that you use may not always have all this information. So you'll notice it tells you several different times, if available, right? If the author of the page is available, put that. If not, make sure you put the name of the site, again, with the italics. The version number, again, you probably won't be able to find that. The name of the institution, that's going to be the publisher, so who owns the website, if it's a website owned by a college or owned by the New York Times or something like that. Date of resource creation, if available, a lot of times that'll be listed at the top like it is in a newspaper, the medium of publication, and then the date of access. So here we can see the title, then we have the site, then we have the publisher, that was the date, this is the source, and right here is when it was accessed. All of those things right there. Here we have a sample works cited page. You'll notice again that this is centered, nothing fancy, nothing italicized, double spacing, tabs in for those second lines, and then everything is alphabetized. So we have B, C, D, E, G, L, G, O, all the way down. Now, when we get to an inconvenient truth, the director's name is Guggenheim, so it is where it belongs, but the way you cite movies is a little bit different. You put the title of the movie first to show that it's a movie, and then the name of the person who directed it. We'll talk more about that specifically if you have questions about how to cite unique sources. This has been an introduction to MLA Citations. As I said, you should have a one-page handout that gives you more information and kind of a reference guide, and as always, the internet is an excellent resource for you to use as well. Please do not hesitate to look it up online. You can find lots of helpful websites as well. Best of luck writing your papers, and have a good night.